Hello Glitter Witches and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Justin and I'm the Witch of Enchantment. Today I wanted to talk about my recent Ancestor work and give you some updates on what's been going on. So if you're interested in that kind of video, let's get started. Before we get into today's video, I want to thank you all for being here. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And also go check out Wine and Witchcraft Live. I believe when this video is going up, there is a live episode tonight, Saturday, October 26th. So go and check that out. There will be a link down in the description below. Talking about Ancestor work, I am somebody who has dabbled in and out of my practice of connecting with my ancestors. I've had different reservations due to ancestral trauma and strained relationships and trauma bonds with people that I just haven't fully committed to reaching out and connecting with my ancestors. That has recently changed. Really what has sparked the change and wanting to embrace working with my ancestors is something that I shared recently, I think in my last video. I'll put the thumbnail here. I did a 3-door trance that was guided by one of my coven mates, and it was a beautiful experience because I was so shocked and surprised that my father's mother came through in this trance. I was not expecting that. This is a woman that I did not know in my life. I thought she died when I was around 2. Realistically, I was about 4 when she died, and I only ever met her once. So because of that experience, going into October, I knew that the ancestor I wanted to work with and cross that veil with was my grandmother. Trying to connect with my grandmother was not an easy experience. And putting it next to my experience with Hecate and my saint work, I felt like there was a lot more resistance from my grandmother than I've gotten in other spirit work. Saint work has been less complicated for me, and I felt like Hecate was really a driving force to connecting to my higher self, if we want to say that. I know that's foo-foo, but when I was ready to acknowledge her, she was there, and it was simplistic in nature. This was a completely different experience, and I had picked up a book to help me with this process. I didn't even open that book, so I'm not going to share what I purchased because I don't have a review on that. But this was definitely harder than I imagined, even though I expected it to be difficult. So going into this process, the first thing that I realized I had to do was to find information out about her. I needed to find who she was, stuff about her life. I needed pictures of her because I have no pictures of her. I think I talked about that in the 3-door trance video. So what I did was I went over to my dad's house and tried to get whatever little information I could from him and some family photos, which I did. So as I'm speaking, I'm going to share some pictures that my dad gave me. And I was able to find out her birthday, her full name, her death day. I was also able to find information about where she was buried because I forgot to ask him that. And what was really cool about finding that out was I found a plethora of other ancestors and a family tree that I had no idea existed. Now, this isn't a formal family tree, but my distant relatives that still live in Alabama and Mississippi connected the whole family together through burial sites on a site called Find Your Grave. And they have both my grandparents listed, all of their siblings, the children, their great-grandparents. So it goes back pretty far, which I absolutely loved because I don't have any memories of my grandmother. So for me, she's this figure, right? I don't have a personal attachment to her. So I knew going into this type of working that I needed to do something that was serious and something that I hoped she would take seriously. So I decided to do a blood call. And I'm going to show you the working and kind of what I did and talk to you about it so you guys will know. And then I'll let you know how it's been going. So taking a look at the working, I really wanted to encapsulate things that I knew that she liked. And she was a Christian. She loved to sing. She loved the color pink. She liked glitter, and she loved roses. So I wanted to kind of connect all of those things together. So in the working, I had to use the pink candle. Obviously, I did use pink glitter. I also used psychic oil, the same psychic oil from the video I did like 10 months ago or so from Aradia. We're going to talk about why here in a little bit, but I used that oil. I also used a divinatory oil, and I blessed it, and I sang to the candle, and I read the Bible to it because that's what she connects to. I also used things that meant something to me. So you can see the key for Hecate. I called her into this because I was hoping and am hoping that she will help open that gate and that line of communication. The purple container here that you see is for Peyton's Passamir vow for his trach. He's passed on, he's on the other side, and I'm doing a blood call. So I thought it would help entice her to communicate. And then also I have a bell and my very first crystal, all on a mirror, because to me mirrors are portals. It's easy communication, it's an amplifier, so I included that as well. She did make her presence known, and I did do some divination that we're going to talk about with when I set this up for her, and it's still set up in the back here, like you can still see it going on. She's definitely a strong lady. I also wanted to make it clear that a majority of my work with her throughout this month has been through meditation. And this goes back to the reference of the psychic oil. I was hearing voices and a bell, and I used this psychic oil that was from Aradia, the same psychic oil that I used for my Ancestor working altar space. Because during my meditations with her this month, she presented herself on this platform with the arch and the bell. If you don't know about the arch and the bell and the ringing and the speaking, you can go click the link down below. Here's a look at the thumbnail. This is the video I'm referring to. And she has presented herself in this space now. So she came to me during the 3-door trance. She's come to me in every meditation I've done. And now she's presenting herself in this astral realm that I continually hear and see things in, but I have yet to fully explore. Now, when she's come through in this platform with the arch and the bell, she is through the arch. And throughout this whole month, in every contact that we've had, she does not speak. She still is not speaking to me, but she presents herself to me, and she has a very sarcastic way about her. So we're still trying to figure out what is going on and what she's trying to tell me. But after hearing more about her life, it kind of makes sense. Let me get into the divination that I did, and then we'll talk a little bit about her life and how I'm going to move forward trying to connect with her. Since she wasn't making her intentions, her reasonings known to me, through advice, I decided to go to divination because I didn't know what to do. To be quite honest with you, I had no idea what to do. When it comes to other spirit work that I've done, I have felt a sense of intuition and just kind of a sense of knowing of how to move forward or what to do or what Hecate wants or what to do for this saint. It's just felt more natural to me. And in this setting, I felt very lost and confused. So I did get the advice to try divination. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but I didn't. Thank you, Ivy the Occultist. She suggested dream work, tarot, pendulum, the whole nine. I didn't do dream work, but I did consult the tarot, and I used the Antique Anatomy Tarot, which I absolutely thought was perfect for trying to communicate with her. Now, I didn't do any divination until I had her altar space set up, and I did not have that set up the whole month. It was just towards the end of this month. I really spent majority of the time, like I said, in meditation and just easing my way into it. And the reason I decided to do that was she'd already presented herself to me and was presenting herself to me in a way that I didn't have to pull her in to do, but she wasn't really communicating. She was kind of just standing there like, yeah, hey. So that's why I decided to actually do the altar and the blood call and really try to cement this relationship. So I used Antique Anatomy Tarot, as I said, and I only got 2 cards from her. The first question that I asked was for her to present a card to me that would represent who she is, kind of as her archetypal energy. And she she chose the Queen of Blades, which makes perfect sense to me. The second question I asked her was to kind of illuminate what the overarching theme was, or the message was that she's trying to articulate to me. How are we going to communicate? Why is she presenting herself now? And she chose to pull the moon. When that happened, I said, okay, we're going to set those cards there, and we're going to come back to this another time. So for those of you who don't know, in the Antique Anatomy Tarot, the Queen of Blades is a woman who's strong, observant, independent, kind of astute. So that made perfect sense to me. You're probably wondering, okay, so when you pulled the moon, why did you stop? The reason why is because I felt uneasy with that card pull when we're talking about what is our relationship going to be? What message are you trying to bring to me? And the truth of the matter is I don't know her, and I don't know her personality in full detail, especially since now that she's on the other side of the veil, she's a completely different person in a sense, and I already don't know who she was on the physical plane. I definitely don't know how she is in the spiritual one. And it's not that I'm scared or nervous, but I want to curate a very healthy, positive relationship with her. And pulling the moon can all be about the unknown and illusion and mysticism, and it could also be deception and danger, and I just want to take it slow. So that's what we're going to do in this situation. Like I said, I didn't know her in life. I didn't have a relationship with her. So when I got the pictures from my dad, I really wanted to find out any little thing that I could about her. And that's how I knew she was a devout Christian. I knew she loved to sing and she liked old hymnals. I also knew that when she was in her 20s, she married her first husband. He was a Pentecostal preacher that was an alcoholic. He was extremely abusive, and she had a son with him. One day he said he was going to go to the gas station or the grocery store, and my dad can't exactly remember, but he left and he never came back. Like, ever. Like, she never saw him again or heard from him again. I believe from my dad's recollection, they declared him dead. So that the marriage between them was, I believe, annulled, or a divorce was granted eventually after so many years. And after that, she met my grandfather, who came from a more middle-class family. And when he decided to marry my grandmother, she already had a son, and he was a toddler by this time. And my grandfather's family basically disowned him. My dad told me that when they would go to his dad's house, his dad's parents' house, they would have to wait outside. They weren't even allowed to go in the home. They weren't even acknowledged as their grandchildren. And they grew up in rural Mississippi. They grew up in a 3-bedroom home. There was 12 kids. My grandmother was 4'11". She was a spitfire. My dad said she was funny but tough. She did not put up with any nonsense. My grandfather was physically abusive to the children. My dad did say he never saw his dad hit his mom, but one time in the kitchen he did attempt to hit her, and she knocked him out onto the ground. And my grandfather was 6'3". My grandmother was 4'11". She picked cotton and shucked oysters for a job. She never had a formal job. And before that, they worked on a farm. And my grandfather worked on a farm before he started selling used cars. So they never lived a glamorous life. They never lived an easy life, which, again, is why I keep saying it makes sense that she's kind of no nonsense. My dad did say she was a very loving mother, but again, very protective, no nonsense. she wasn't the cuddly type of person. And I'm guessing because of her life, she really wasn't allotted to cultivate that kind of relationship with her children or other people. So moving forward, I really just want to take the opportunity to connect with her, not only on the spiritual plane, but also in the physical world. Knowing where she's buried, her and my grandfather, where her parents are buried, I really believe that within the next month or so, I want to do a grave tour, which I know sounds terrible, but I do. I want to take the 10-hour drive to Mississippi and go visit her grave, leave flowers at her grave. I do feel like that's something that she wants, and I want to be able to acknowledge her existence here. I would also like to take the opportunity to look more into the census and documents, newspaper articles, if possible, maybe reach out to some distant relatives to find out more about her life. Your children don't always know everything about you or how hard things are. We try to protect our kids, so I'm sure there are things about herself that she never shared with my dad or her kids. And I want to continue to work and connect to her, and I feel like a way that I can do that is to acknowledge her existence on the physical plane and to learn as much as I can about her, to validate her existence, to continue to work with her in the spirit world. So that's my goal. That's how I'm going to continue to work with her. And I'm hoping that she will become more communicative and that we can build a relationship in death that we never could in life. And that is today's video. I want to thank you guys so much for listening to me ramble about this for however long that I did. I also wanted to say thank you to everybody who reached out on the 3-door trance video with suggestions and their insight and interpretations on that experience and what she may have been trying to communicate to me. I also think I'm going to start an Ancestor journal specifically for her so that I can document all the interactions that we have and continue to look back on that and look for ways to continue to grow this relationship. So thank you guys so much. I hope to see you tonight on Wine and Witchcraft Live. And until next time, bye, Glitter Witches.